All right. Well, anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I want to talk about Bruce Cassidy getting fired.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely have to talk about Bruce Cassidy getting fired.
Yeah.
Bruce Cassidy this year had the quote of the year for coaches in my mind.
He might have. Yeah. Yeah. What did he say?
He was talking about, somebody was asking him like an advanced analytics thing. And he said something to the effect of like, oh yeah, we got a lot of nerds upstairs just crunching the different numbers and coming up with different things. No, I don't mean it like that. Like they're good nerds. Like I like them. They're good and they're helpful. But I'm just saying that they're got the nerds upstairs. Like
right.
It was so funny and playful.
And your heart went like it fluttered a little bit, didn't it?
I could be a good nerd.
Yeah, it was no, like.
But the thing is that aside from a few absolute morons on Twitter, most stats people don't watch the game and don't think that the whole world revolves around Corsi,
right?
Or zone entries or something like that. Like other than a few idiots on Twitter, that's like most stats people don't think that. And so when I saw that quote, I was like, this guy is the perfect embodiment of, yes, I'm old school, but I'm also listening and I'm learning and there's something to be taken from this. Yeah. Right. And that's what you want. And then a mere 3 months later, he's out the door. Hit the bricks, buddy buster.
See, to me, if there were any doubt about whether this is a players run league or not, it's completely confirmed with Bruce Cassidy being fired.
Do you think that he wasn't very liked?
Well, I don't know how well liked he was. I do know that in the 5 full years that he coached this team, prorated when you take away the 2 years where they didn't play 82 game schedules, he averaged 111 points a year. He made the Stanley Cup final in 2019.
What a loser.
In 2019, never missed the playoffs, never had fewer than 100 points except for the year that they prorated. And prorated, I think that year he had 111.
Right.
And what's troubling to me is that I hear Don Sweeney saying that, the message, his message and in the way he delivered the message took a toll on the players. Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? How's being a shitty team and losing going to take a toll on them?
Well,
I mean, they're not going to have Brad Marchand. They're not going to have Charlie Coyle to start the season next year. They might not have Patrice Bergeron. They might not have Jake DeBrusk because he might get traded.
Yeah.
This roster, like to me,
they have no help coming in goal.
The firing of Bruce Cassidy, it's like you just took that window and slammed it shut. I don't see this team. He did so much with such a diminished roster. He got 51 wins.
Can I repeat this Craig Button quote?
Sure.
I don't think they're going to win a game next year.
but I mean, oh my goodness! Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I'm completely with you. It's hard to know what's happening behind the scenes because I don't know if you remember when Joe Thornton had the captaincy stripped in San Jose. Who was the general manager?
It was Doug Wilson.
Yeah, that's right. Doug Wilson, the same general manager forever.
Yeah.
But Doug Wilson said, basically, he pussyfooted around it, but he said, Joe Thornton can sometimes be a little bit of a fierce competitor, and sometimes that spills out into how he treats other players on the team. Essentially said something to that effect.
Really? Because Joe, to me, is like...
Right, but that's what we think of Joe.
Yeah.
We think of Jumbo Joe with his shirt off doing an interview. We think of, you know what I mean? We think of, good old Jumbo Joe. But, how do we think about Carey Price?
Right.
He's so calm. He's so collected.
Yeah.
He's always... I don't know how much you've heard about people standing outside the change room after a bad loss, but I've heard about a lot of broken things. And it's public knowledge. I'm not letting any big cats out of the bag, right?
Yeah. With Carey Price.
With Carey Price.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying is that,
Yeah. I mean, it's obvious that there's a disconnect between the players and the coach. Because, I've seen guys like this before, lots of guys who and Bruce Cassidy is a favorite of people like that are in my business, right? The media. He's great. He's great. But I've seen lots of guys who are great with the media and are hated by their players.
We do have...
and conversely, I've seen guys who are hated by the media and loved by their players. Right. So...
We do have a difficulty making that disconnect in media. And we were just talking about it with Tortorella. Right? And how many players absolutely love playing with Tortorella.
Absolutely.
And yet he's always got this bad... air hanging about him.
Bad vibe,
right? And a similar person to that would be like Brad Marchand. I find that a lot of media has trouble calling him out on his garbage because he's a super affable, nice guy.
See, but I've always done that, and I also
I know you have,
and I also think he's a wonderful person.
Why do you think I called you and said let's do a podcast together?
Yeah,
because it seems difficult, and I know that it's our human brains and our inability to process that. It's difficult to turn around and say I really like that guy. I also think he's a bit of a douche.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought of Chris Pronger.
Right.
Lovely person, great individual.
Yeah.
I've had many great conversations with him. I think he's one of the smartest people I've ever met.
He'll probably be on this podcast soon. Yeah.
I think he's one of the smartest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
But on ice, it's like you're a terrible human being once you put the pads on, right?
Well, you heard about the joke, like God talking to an angel and saying like, "Hey, I've just invented these Canadians," and the angel goes, "Oh, they seem so nice and calm and sweet," and God says, "Yeah, you'd think that. You just drop a hockey puck and see what happens."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I am really perplexed by the Cassidy thing. I'm really perplexed by why would Boston think that this was a good idea?
Okay, so you did to me the Dominic Ducharme thing, the Jay Woodcroft thing.
Right.
So now I'm going to put you on the spot with something that you said to me off air.
Okay.
Are we ready for wild speculation based on no information time?
Sure.
Patrice Bergeron may or may not retire.
Yeah.
Tell the class what you said.
No, what I said was it'll be interesting to see how people draw the lines between, because if he decides not to retire, then does the narrative become, oh, well, Patrice said, I'm not playing for this guy anymore.
Yeah.
Like Pavel Datsyuk did with Mike Babcock.
Yeah.
If I come back and I'm playing, it's not going to be for this guy.
Yeah.
I don't see Patrice Bergeron as being that kind of guy. But
at the same time, if anyone's earned it.
And then you go, okay, there's something to this, and there really is something that needs to be changed. Because if a guy like that does that, you go, okay, now there's something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see, like if Patrice Bergeron in the next week turns around and says, well, you know what, I've had not a change of heart, but I've made up my mind, because he hasn't gone one way or the other yet. But, it sure looked like after they got eliminated that he was done. And if he comes back and says, I've kind of had a bit of a change of heart, blah, 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 I'm going to come back and play, then you go, oh, wow, now it might make a little more sense.
There is always going to be a certain type of garbage that we are willing to eat and a certain type of garbage that we are not. I was playing with that kid that plays tier 2 in Sweden. And, he was telling me, he said, like, he goes, I've had so many coaches, and he goes, some of them, they yell and scream at you and then bench you. And then you never know what to do. Right. And some of them bench you and say, you really screwed this, and this up. And he goes, look, I don't like being benched no matter which way you slice or dice it, but at least I know what to do with that. And so I think that, like, where somebody's coming from and the way that they handle the same situation is very important. And so Patrice Bergeron, where I'm driving at with this, is that Patrice Bergeron played for Claude Julien for many years. A guy who is widely considered to be a very decent, good person.
Claude Julien?
Claude Julien.
One of the greatest.
Right.
As a person, yeah.
But also considered to be one of the most demanding coaches.
Right. So if
Bergeron
comes
says
back,
this is too demanding.
Yeah, but not for him. Not for him. I mean, Patrice Bergeron could play for anyone.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he's such an elite player and he's so dedicated and he's so good at what he does and he's such a good leader. He could play for anybody, right? But if he's identified this as being a problem that runs through the roster and affects the roster, then you say, okay. So maybe what I'm saying is maybe Patrice Bergeron's decision will give us some clarity on why this happened. Yeah. Because for sure, if he comes back, then you got to at least ask that question, right?
Right.
You got to at least ask the question. Yeah. Was this something that Bergeron said, look, we can't play for this guy, or there are players on this team that can't play for this guy anymore. And you got to get rid of him if you want me to be a part of this, you know?
So. It could be the opposite though. Right, like we could be mixing up causality. Like maybe he retired or is considering retiring. They hire a new coach, and that coach calls him up and says, "Hey, look, Patrice, I hear you're considering retiring. Let's chat." And then they have a great chat. And it's less that Bruce Cassidy forced him into retirement, more that another coach talked him out of it.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is if he comes back before that happens, before that they have somebody else in place, then you go, okay, well, something to this.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think we've talked about everything.
I think we've talked about everything. We've done it. We have solved hockey.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you for sticking around this long. Check out kencampbell.substack.com. Check us out on Apple Podcasts or the Hockey Podcast Network. Please leave us a review or a rating. And of course, YouTube. You can get this in bite-sized clips. And we will see you next week.